On the second episode of Slot Car Tech Tips, I will be showing you pickup solutions. Hello HO Race fans, this is Kevin Vitoman 50, where we do tech, tips, and solutions with online video. If you're new to this channel, thanks for stopping by and definitely subscribe. If you're a fan of slot car racing, you come to the right channel. Now, on to the video. This is an Auto World T-Jet Ultra G. It pulls the front end up under hard acceleration. This means the shoe springs are too tight. Watch again. I will show you how to stop this and make your car handle better. Okay everybody, here we're back on the hopper mat. Now this one is about pickup shoes. There's a ton of different pickup shoes. Some like the old Aurora Talls, you know, some of the old Aurora mediums. You can see how they're wedged a little differently. And then there's the new, like the T-Jet, or I mean the Magnet Traction, where they had them decently tall for like tall tires. I see how they're swedged up a little bit. And then they had the flat ones where we're completely flat. These are my favorite. These are the ones I try to use the most. And then these ones, I don't remember exactly when they brought these up, but they are just the very tip of them are swedged up. Just the very tip of them. See that? I'm not a big fan of these. I've really had not really great luck, but they've worked okay, but I've never had great luck with them. And then you got your new Auto Worlds. I like them because they're decently flat. I mean, they work pretty decent. I've had decent luck with them. They're not the best pickup shoe in the world because they tend to be real thin and they tend to bend real easy. And they do have, if you noticed, all the different ones, how they have the opening for the front on them, depending on whether either some are tall, some are wide, whatever. Some of the T-Jets were thin, but they were really tall. And then these are my favorite because they were decently short and they weren't real wide. And like I said, these are the flat ones. Your best bet, if you try to get the flatter ones. This way you can actually get them. You see where this one ran a little more on the front, but see how it's dragging to the back. You want to try to drag that all the way to the back. See how this one, same thing, dragged a little bit in the front and it's dragged a little bit in the back. Where this one's clean all the way across. So that's clean all the way across. That's what you want. You want a pickup shoe when it's laying flat on the track, clean all the way across. And what I do too is once I get them to be bent in the correct direction, I take a marker and mark which side out they're going on. All you do is you mark it and then which side they're going out. So when I take this off for maintenance, I know it goes back on the driver's side. Same with the passenger side one. I know which one they're going on. Okay. And one thing too, I don't know if you're allowed, but I found a pin that is actually from a Mega G pin. Fits all the old cars and they're a little bit longer, so a Mega G pin is the best way to go because they're deeper into this one I had to chop off a little bit because I was running at someone's Tyco track, but they are a lot longer. You can see they are a little bit longer. They're usually about $1 or $2, mid $1, $2 a piece. I've got them. And one thing too, if you're running one of these, it's easier to put the car back in the lane. If you're running a blade, then it's a pain in the butt if they're going to try to get you back in the lane. If they're letting you change the pin, try to change to that. Okay, that is a Mega G pin. Fits right in. It's a little tight, but it clicks right in there and it will never come out. Okay. And then one thing to show you. This is something I don't know if I've told a lot of you guys, but what happens is when your car is not completely flat on the ground. Look at that. See how that's moving around? you want that car to stay flat on the ground. I've already done a modification on these ones. What I did is I bent the top of the pickup shoe down and over. See, they're down and over. I'm not really good at doing them straight. I've never really been a big fan of doing it that way, but I did that just to show you guys. But look at that. That car will pull the wheelies down the front straightaway. I don't know if that shot at the very beginning was really good. It'll show you what I mean by a car pulling the front wheels. This was the car here. Now, for some reason, the weird part about it, in this block, this car doesn't, the front end's down. See how it's laying pretty flat? Now, if you tilt it up, then the car wants to tilt up a little bit. But see, it's not jumping. And one thing about it, like this one here, if you look, once the pickup shoes leave, look at how much of the pin is still left in the groove. Not much. If you look, it's that much. So when the car pulls out of the track, it either goes off one way or another, or when you're going around a turn, say you're going around a left turn, this shoe wants to push up and push the car up and over. Same going around a right turn. The inner shoe wants to take the car and push the car over. So the tension's got to be pretty decent. Back in the day, what I used to do is I used to either cut, like this one's a long pickup shoe, and then I found a long time ago some short pickup shoe springs that were a little bit more tension. I don't have many more of these left. I'm pretty much out of these. What I used to do is I used to just take a pair of tweezers and just chop a complete ring or two off, depending on, so the car wouldn't lift. I did that a long time ago, but what I've learned is a bunch of different things now. First thing what I've been doing lately is I got these at Harbor Freight. They're in a tool kit. They're exact flat. They're not like these ones, how they've got the little grooves in them. See how they got the little grabby grooves in them? These are flat. See the difference there? So if you do something with these and try to smash something down with it, these you can't really do much with them anyways, but what happens is it knurls the end of the pickup shoe and it scrapes. With like this, what I've done is this before, where I've taken a shoe and just completely flattened it. See how that is compared to this step up one here? How it's a lot flatter. This is the exact same shoe that this one was. Okay, look at it now. It's a lot flatter. It's not exactly perfectly flat. I mean, you could probably put it in something and mash it with a hammer or mash it flat, but it's a lot. What happens is on something like this, with it flatter like that, you can actually put a short tire like these here. These are AFX tires, front tires. They're 1/4 inch inside diameter, 3/8 outside diameter, and they're 1/16 of an inch thick. These what I've been using on front of like a magnet traction to lower the front end down. I've been using these on all my front of my magnet tractions, and they fit perfectly. Okay, so what happens if you straighten this out and put the car lower to the ground, that'll have a tendency of making the car handle better. Okay, now one like this, you don't have to really mess with it much. It's too thin to mess with it, and again, like I said, this is flat, so this one here will drag really well. And if you see how I did that, it flattened it right out. That is an old T-Jet. Look at the difference. That's an old T-Jet. Yeah, that's this one here. See how much flatter it looks? That helps it so you can lower the car to the ground. One thing what happens is too, if you do that, again, like I said, the car handles better. And then I've got tires for the front of T-Jets too, which the T-Jet ones are 1/16. They're a 1/16 tall, or no, yeah, 1/16 thickness. The thickness of the O-ring is a 1/16. Inside diameter is 3/16. The outside diameter is 5/16, which ends up being a 008 and a 010 is an AFX. Granger or something like that sells these. This is a good T-Jet tire. So if you want to lower it, in other words, if the rules states you have to use, you can use an O-ring, but you have to use a stock rim. these are a good way to go. Most of the times if you use an aftermarket rim, this is what's on them. Any type of aftermarket rim. So that goes on the front of a T-Jet. Most times I've been putting 2 on them. Okay. Now, one thing, I went to O'Reilly's, and a Dorman 87500 electrical heat shrinking tube works wonders. Check this out. You get the smallest tube, and then say like on this one, if you want to, what you want to do is you want to limit the front of the shoe. Like I said, I've bent them over. First of all, I'll show you how I bend them over. You take a flat one like this, you put across there, and you take another one and just bend it, start bending it over. It's going to be a pain in the butt then. Get it, and then just completely finish bending it over, and then try to take, like I said, with this one here being it's, you know, a lot smoother, it won't crush anything. It's the same with the pickup shoe. And that one broke off. That's the only thing bad about trying to bend them over. They tend to break. Depends on how far you need to limit it to, is how far they need to be bent. I'm not a big fan of this. I'm just showing you how I used to do it. See, I can never get the darn things perfect. I always get them twisted like that. But a lot of guys I've seen do this. There's a machine that you actually can do this to bend them over. And what you're doing, you're closing off that opening. So what happens is when the car, you know, you won't get that lift all off of the pickup shoe. Now what I've done is I've taken the tube I showed you and just put it on here like this, and you can cut it. You don't have to be real thin. You can cut it real super thin, but look, you can limit the window. See that? And that's what I did on one of my cars here. I can't remember which one I did it on now. No, I didn't. Okay, I did on one of my other cars then, where I limited shoe. These ones I put straight shoes on, so they're actually limited a different way. But I've taken one other car and I've limited them with one of these shrink wraps, so you can actually open or close it. But what you do is you cut it to where you need it to be. You don't need to cut it that thick. You cut it pretty thin. Put it on the shoe. And then heat it up, and that'll shrink it. And then I put a little dab of super glue on the top, just a little dab of super glue right there. And then you can limit the shoe. You don't want it too far. I figure about 1/8 of an inch below the tire is what I've always done. Try to get them like, you know, 1/8 inch below the tire. Like these ones here, they're not that far, but they're just a little bit below the tire. That's all you need. And that way it won't end up picking the front end up as it's going down the track. Okay. Another thing I went ahead and I've got this plastic sander. It's a Dremel tool style, and this is a good way to clean the shoes off. It polishes the shoes real nice. This thing works out real nice. Another way to bend the shoe too is a pair of tweezers. Bend it to where the actual, like this one here, could use a little bit more bending, and bend it to the actual where the track needs to be. Like this one here, I bent it on the back side here. I need to bend it a little more, but again, you want the shoe to lay as flat across here as possible. you can take one of these too, and a black magic marker or one of these, and mark it, and just scrape it across the track a few times and see where it's dragging on here, and then run the car around the track and scrape all that off. Black magic marker, the new ones have a little bit of like lead in them, so the car will still run around the track, but that's a good way to limit the shoes too. Like I said, I've always used the plastic. I've had the best luck with it. That's how I done a lot of my cars, and just put like a little bit, like heat shrink it. First of all, put it on the car, you want like about a 1/16 or an 1/8 inch down below the tire, and then throw a little heat on it. Don't use a lighter, because what it'll do is, if it's still on the car, you'll burn the chrome right off of the tire. I've done it before, so be careful. And same with here, you can lower these tires. You can put a little shorter tire on here and lower the car to the ground. And then another couple things is a flatter pin. I've gotten these at Ace Hardware. I've gotten a flat pin, or flat screw. What it is these are the original screws that come with them. They got a round head, and I've taken this beveling tool and just took the plastic like on the original pin, and just went around the pin a few times, around the the pin like this, and then put this on there. If you're lowering a car to the ground like this one here, could probably use another pin, another big screw, a body screw. But that's what you want to do. You want to go ahead and use like a body screw, like a flat one. These are stainless steel. They weren't that expensive. I think I paid about 40 cents for them. But they're flatter head and they're beveled. But you're going to have to bevel the pickup or the pin to get them down in, seated in there. So I hope some of this stuff works out for you guys. Limiting the shoes is a big help on trying to keep the car on the track. Okay, as you see, the pickup shoes are a huge deal in getting electricity to the motor. What happens is, if the car's pulling a wheelie, it actually jumps out of the track and it doesn't get any electricity. That's one bad thing. Another bad thing is, if the skis are not completely flat to the track, the energy is not getting through the whole ski. So what happens is, the pickup shoe is out of misadjustments. If you adjust it correctly, you'll get as much power to the engine as possible. And if you're going around a left turn, and you're going around the left turn, what happens is the left ski, the car wants to tilt out, and the left ski pushes up, and what happens is the car flips off the track. Same the right turn, the other ski will push the car off the track. So what you got to do is, you got to make sure the ski is actually in correct alignment, not pushing the car around too much, but you want to still have good tension on the springs. Okay, I hope this video helped you guys out, and keep your pin in the slot.